What's good, Fins Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason back here with another one. As always, I'm joined by the Jason Taylor to my Zach Thomas, EMdolphinfan. What's good, homie?
What's good, Fins Nation? Let's get it.
Guys, we got a good one for you tonight. We brought over Mr. BallGame because, I mean, whether you guys know it or not, by the, how should I call it, passionate discussions him and EM have, he's one of the people that, you know, we have the highest and utmost respect for, especially when it comes to the knowledge of the game. You know, he knows this man is seasoned by this game, and he knows. I mean, he's one of the people, when we talk about people understanding the nuances and the insides and outs of the game inside of the game, he's one of the people we're talking about when we make mention of that guy. So without further ado, let's bring on, you all know who he is. What's good? The triple OG, Mr. BallGame.
Hey, brother, appreciate you, man. Much love for that intro, bro.
Triple OG, triple.
How you living in Texas, baby?
Oh, man, it's lovely, bro. It's lovely.
All right.
Things
hey,
seem to be okay.
Glad to be here tonight with y'all, man. Let's get into it.
Let's get it.
So before we get into the secondary stuff, guys, EM specifically wants me to share a tweet, and then we'll get into what happened with Charles Harris today, guys. So we got tweeted out today that Charles Harris finally hopped on the bus. Shout out to Jared Coffey for hitting us up with that one. But yeah, guys, he officially got his bus ticket this morning. What do you guys thinking about this? I mean, it's something we all basically discussed, but with the additions of Curtis Weaver and Strobridge, I mean, Taco, and you know, the writing was on the wall for Taco and Charles Harris. But what are you guys' thoughts on this?
Go ahead, BallGame. Go ahead.
Well, you know, we in all of our discussions over the last couple of months, man, we went back and forth, but I think collectively we all agreed that if they actually addressed the position and got younger at those spots, for what EM likes to always remind us of our perfect scheme fits, then the writing was already on the wall. You know, traditionally, well, I won't say traditionally, I think the Dolphins did what they thought was the best choice when they selected him, but they didn't. Me personally, when watching the film and watching the development or lack of development of Charles Harris over the course of his time with the Dolphins, I think they did him a disservice because you had Matt Burke, who really was trying to employ a defense that never fit Charles Harris's play style. Because when he came out of Missouri, he was a stand-up 3-4 type rusher, and then we were here with the 4-3 down lineman, meaning 4-3 hand in the dirt defensive end scheme. That was never going to be the case. He was never going to be able to translate to that because, one, his body type didn't fit it. Two, he just wasn't big enough and strong enough to be down there dealing with the nuances of that position. And three, they never had anybody really to ever teach him really what was going on because Cam Wake was still, over the top effective. So you got the young line behind you, but the old line ain't gonna give up his spot. And I mean, I don't think it was a case between them personally that Cam didn't want to help him, but like at the same time, the Dolphins kept bringing in people. Andre Branch, they brought in Quinn. You know what I'm saying? They brought in all these veterans. Mm-hmm. Charles Harris got lost in the shuffle, and picking up Taco last year, I think was just probably was just one of those things of just seeing if he had anything left. But schematically, he was never a fit either. And to EM's credit, he recognized that right out the gate and was telling us that. You know what I'm saying? So he forced. I thought that maybe out of the two of those, because Taco was a little bit heavier than Harris, that maybe Taco would last, but.
I did too, BallGame. I did too. I thought
these two kids that they brought in, man, they're prototypically built to plug in behind and learn from Lawson and also learn from Agba. You feel me? Mm-hmm. So I think, why pay two guys that you really at this point haven't really gotten anything from, probably won't get anything from because they don't fit the scheme when you got two young guys that you can develop and groomed exactly the way you want to groom, So that's probably why Taco. That's primarily the reason why I believe, and we all probably agree in this, that Taco and Charles Harris got their walking papers. So
no, they bus ticket. But
the bus ticket.
The bus ticket.
Oh, we were nice to give him a bus ticket at least, huh?
yeah. Yeah, but I'm 100% in agreement with you, ball game. Charles Harris. Yeah, I think it was a few things why he just, man, it's like, I don't know, he just could never turn that corner, man. And when we selected him, some years back when we first got him in the first round, I was extremely high.
I wanted Reuben Foster for the record.
Yeah, but he's I don't even think he's in the league right now. But how'd that go? But anyway,
until the problem started, Reuben was still in it.
Yeah. I hear you. But yeah, man, I was high on Charles Harris coming out of Missouri. And when we selected him, I just thought that him, and you're spot on with that. He was the year he came out. I think the 3 years that he was there, they were basically a base 3-4 team, and
right.
He was playing that outside linebacker position. So when we selected him at that time, our scheme was that wide 9 base 4-3, and when we selected him, I was a little, I was wondering how he was gonna exactly fit. And like you said, like you alluded to earlier, he just wasn't big and strong enough. He didn't have the hand placement, the upper body strength to be successful, really, in any scheme, I think. I don't necessarily think it's a schematic issue. I just think Charles Harris just doesn't have the prerequisite skill set, upper body, in his hands and his upper body, to be able to warrant a huge amount of the snap count. Because again, especially for us, you have to be able to hold up in a run game. You have to.
Right.
And that's primarily every team in the league. So until he corrects that, until he gets stronger, until he gets better at with his hand placement, and I just think he's just gonna, he won't be in the league too much longer. So, but as far as Taco Charlton is concerned, yeah, I thought I was with you initially, because I thought maybe, well, this kid is heavier, he's longer, he's got he's a prototypical profile. But again, he just don't have. We saw that immediately on tape, that how he struggled in a run game. He just, he just didn't have it. So, and these guys that they brought in, the MO on Curtis Weaver and Strobridge, as well as Shaq Lawson and Emmanuel Ogba, that will not be a problem with these 4 gentlemen.
Right.
So once we got those other guys in the draft, it was just a matter of time before, I got that email from Flores and told me, yeah.
That was the thing about Weaver this year. He was an elite. He graded out as an elite pass rusher. But one of the things you noticed from last year to this year is he really took a leap in the run game. He looked better in the run game, and he showed promise as being able to develop. Right.
Well, you can look at the film. Oh, go ahead, Em. Go ahead.
Yeah, ball game. I was gonna say, we talked about this before. With Ogba, Shaq Lawson, Curtis Weaver, and Strobridge, and go look like you said. Go look at their tape and look how elite they are in their hand placement. Mm-hmm. And again, the scheme that we deployed, they deployed 2 gap principles, and that is paramount. Hand placement is paramount when you're deploying those techniques within this base 34. And again, Charles Harris, your Taco Charltons of the world, I even think Cam Wake would have even struggled as well. But they just don't have it. It's a skill set. It's like any other skill set that these coaches evaluate. Hand placement, having heavy hands, being strong in your upper body, playing with leverage, that's a skill set. And they just never developed it. They just never developed it. But the guys we have now, especially the 2 guys we got in free agency, as well as the guys we selected in the draft, this is what's got them to this point. They don't, there's no lacking in that department.
And there's no wasted. What they don't do is they don't waste space too, in terms of engagement.
Right.
And, engagement, slap, and slap and rip.
Right.
I went back and looked at Weaver's. I went back and looked at Curtis Weaver's film from last season before this one, and it's like night and day, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, if you look at his body. He had to have easily, I think, probably put on another.
Yeah, he got bigger, You noticed that, huh?
15 pounds, man.
Yeah.
It looks like muscle. Like that. Yeah. Him standing there, next. You put 2 pictures of him next to each other. It's like night and day.
Yeah, you really notice it when they have him standing up.
Standing up,
That's when you really notice it. You're like, holy, yeah, for sure. So let's get into the secondary, guys. So before we get into a ball game, just for people who have missed it before when you've explained it, just go over your background briefly as a coach, and your history with the game itself.
So initially, I think I won't say like most people, but yeah, probably most coaches, man. I started out in the Pee Wee ranks, man. I was coaching football even before my sons even started playing football, and I was on the offensive side of the ball, so I was offensive coordinator in the city of Camarillo, California, for the better half of maybe 8-9 years, man. Coaching youth ball all the way from the Mighty Mites all the way up to the seniors. And then when my sons in their fifth and sixth grade decided that they wanted to play, I actually employed myself as an assistant coach on a team that they got drafted to. And I took over as the offensive coordinator for that team. And the next year I was promoted to the actual head coach. And from there, followed them and coached them and a bunch of other kids that you probably know, Theo Howard and, the wide receiver Theo Howard. Man, I got a lot of kids. If I run down the list, you'd be like, oh, my God, BallGame, you coached them. But, yeah, all through youth ball. And then I got a call from one of the neighboring high schools asking me to come on board. And that was at Camarillo High School there in Camarillo, California. I did a short stint with Rio Mesa High School as well, and then I went on from Camarillo to St. Bonaventure. And at St. Bonaventure is where I worked my way from being the JV head coach all the way up to the defensive coordinator for the high school, for the varsity squad. And that's why I made my name at, because that's when I got my offers and the request to come sit and interview at Fresno State, at Cal Berkeley, at Cal. I had an invitation to come to Cal, San Diego State University. And the only reason I didn't take those positions was because my sons at the time were still in high school, and I felt it was more, between my deployments. While I was still in the Navy, my deployments were they were perfectly structured so that I'd be gone in the off season, but I was coming back maybe 3 to 4 weeks right before the seasons would kick off. But my defense and my defensive coordinators, I stayed in contact with them, and they ran my programs while I was gone. And then when I got back, it was like I never left, because my kids, we had a farm system going. So, but the most of my success came as a defensive coordinator over at St. Bonaventure High School, though. We went all the way to state championships and lost, unfortunately, 3 years in a row. But that was two modern day, teams like we got to the divisional rounds twice, in the semifinals, things of that nature. But we played some of the larger schools in the nation. When I'm talking about the De La Salles and the Mater Days and the St. John Bosco's and
you went up against a lot of people who are at the next level right now.
Yeah, listen. So I was explaining to you at St. Bonaventure's, the student body numbers was no more than maybe 515, and 345, maybe 350 of that were girls. So we had a small pool of boys to pull from, but the vast majority of the boys that were there, they had one thing that, man, you can never really ever. They just had a desire to want to win. You feel me? A lot of them weren't the most talented, but they were coachable. And when you got kids that are coachable, you can do amazing things. Talent can only take you so far. But if you ain't, if a kid's not able to be coached, he's gonna be X'd out. And it's gonna come to a halt at some point, because talent can only take you so far. But you gotta be able to be coached, and that's what we thrived on. We thrived on superior coaching and having kids that were committed to the program. So that's pretty much where it is, man. I played a little ball in school. When I was in San Diego with the Navy, I played a little semi-pro ball with the San Diego Sharks as a cornerback. things of that nature. But for the most part, man, football has always been something that has been deeply rooted in my family, deeply rooted in me as a person. If I didn't have football, I don't know, a lot of days of that was my sanctuary, you know, being out there on the sideline, man, watching kids that couldn't backpedal, kids that didn't have an idea of anything about transitions from backpedaling to running and being in stride and staying in stride with the receiver and playing the upside shoulder, all this type of stuff, to watching them go from nothing to something, and then, you know, just competing against some of the best. Like I said, we played against Juju. My sons are friends with Juju to this day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Michael Pittman, who now is with the Colts, you know what I'm saying, was checked early and often by my oldest son, Kevin Jr., you know what I'm saying? So things of that nature. My son Isaiah, probably without a shadow of a doubt, they're both were extremely talented, but Isaiah was probably the more raw athlete in terms of his ability to play everywhere. He was a punt returner, kick returner, wide receiver, running back, corner, played a little outside linebacker, you name it. He was like the Swiss Army knife. But, you know, coaching is what we did, man. And those boys, my sons, when we open up our channel, are gonna be very interesting.
Plug it. Tell them the name. Plug it.
Yeah, the name of the channel soon to be coming to you guys in the nation is gonna be T3 Fins Academy. That's gonna be myself, Mr. BallGame, along with my oldest son Kevin Jr. and my youngest son Isaiah Taylor. It's gonna be the T3 Fins Academy. Yep.
That's what's up.
When are you dropping it?
Huh?
When are you guys looking to drop it?
Oh man, hopefully sometime within the next next month.
Nice.
You know,
that's what's up.
We got to get some logistics going, but hopefully within the next month we can pull it all together and be another addition to awesome content and information for our fans. You know.
Nice.
Yeah, definitely.
So basically, guys, the point of all that was BallGame knows what it's talking about when it comes to the secondary.
Mm-hmm.
So any of you guys who are going to be in the comments arguing your subjective opinions when it comes to the secondary business, no offense, but it probably pales in comparison to what BallGame knows and his opinion, really. Like, I mean, that's just it. I mean, he's got enough experience. You got a guy who's had offers from colleges, to specialize in this. So he knows what he's talking about, guys. So when you look at the Dolphins at the end of last year, BallGame, what do you think was their biggest pressing need in the secondary? And is there anything else besides that need you think that they need to accomplish to be successful this year as a unit?
So in the secondary last year at the end of the season with the Howard going down with the injury, I'll say it again, I was amazed at the growth in the short span of time that I was evaluating Nik Needham, because I was hard on him. I was very hard on him and very critical of him every week in our discussions, and EM can attest to this. But at the same time, every time I took something away from him or knocked him down for it, I also mentioned things that were exceptional that he was doing. And his growth from, I'd say, week 9 to the end of the season was astronomical. What I thought that we needed more than anything was someone that was going to be what I consider to be the perch leader.
Mm-hmm.
Someone to sit up on the perch that wouldn't allow anything to happen behind them as a free safety. That's generally the spot of a free safety. I felt that we needed a true free safety. When the Dolphins went out, they grabbed the biggest acquisition probably. When they grabbed Byron Jones, man, that solidified the outsides for me, because I always said that Nik Needham had the feet. Now he has the feet and the athleticism to move inside as well and be able to lock up inside. But he could also, with his speed and his agility and his eyes, the way he reads things, you know what I'm saying, pre-snap, he'd be a great target too to convert to free safety. But I don't know if that's something that they would like to look at doing. But we could. That's what we need more than anything, a free safety. We need a guy back there that's a playmaker, a guy that's willing to be disciplined enough to see when he can take chances, and sometimes say, I don't want to leave this guy hanging, so I'm not gonna take that chance right now. You know what I mean? Because sometimes they have to be disciplined enough to hold their water. And like last year, God bless his soul, but Bobby McCain has never been and never will be a free safety. He's just not. One, he's not built to command that position because he's a small frame guy. You know what I'm saying? He's a little undersized in terms of what a safety should be anyway. You know, and barely even tipping 195 pounds, I think. But he's just not thick enough. You know what I mean? Because free safeties, period, in the league, they have to be violent. They have to be able to come down and lay the wood, and that's never been Bobby McCain's forte. Bobby McCain's always been let me move you. I can get on your hip and run with you. I can, you know, with a slot receiver, he can manipulate a slot receiver a little bit. But when we saw it last year when I think the tight end from the Ravens got loose, you know, he ran over him. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And although it's unfortunate, that's penalty right there because that's stuck in your head. Like, and that's why you started seeing Bobby when he should have been at 15 or 16 yards off. You know what I'm saying? From the line of scrimmage. He was back 23-24, which any quarterback in the nation, any quarterback in the NFL can drop passes in with that much push. And he was still bailing pre-snap. So he's 35 feet, 35 yards deep. Yeah. That told me that he plays scared in the position. So we need someone that can naturally transition back to that.
Let me
be fine there.
You BallGame, you mentioned Nik Needham's growth. I kind of wanted to get into in terms of from a coach's perspective. Yeah. What are the fundamental traits that a defensive back has to have to be successful to perform at a high level in this press man scheme that we deploy? All right. First thing first. Let's talk. There's two phases, right? So they have to have a couple things checked off in the mental box and in the physical box. Mentally, they have to be able to let the last play go, right? They have to also accept the fact that as a corner, you're gonna get beat, but it's not about getting beat. It's about what you do after you get beat. Some guys will mope on it and hold on to it, or other guys will thrive and say, "Okay, well, you got me on that, but you won't get me no more." So that's the first thing. First thing they have to do is be mentally tough. Physically, to be a part of this man press system that we're going to be running, they have to have what I call sweet feet. Their feet have to be cognizant of watching the body language of the receiver and beating the receiver to what I consider what we call their launch points, right? So in the slot position, right? First thing first rule for any slot receiver is never, for a nickelback, never allow the wide receiver to cross your face. So the guy has to be strong enough in core to reroute the receiver, turn and run with him, and shield him from being able to get back cross body of him. So always have his body in between the quarterback and the receiver. That's the first thing. And now all that's accomplished with hands and feet. Their eyes should never be in the backfield. Their eyes should always be trained to keep their eyes on the chest plate of the receiver. And then when they transition to his hips, because wherever his hips go, he's going. And they have to be willing to stay in what we call stay in phase, which is staying right there on the maybe a half a step within or ahead of the receiver and filling for him the entire time. If they have good hands and good feet, that's all a part of working together. But their eyes transition when the receiver turns his eyes. But other than that, they got to be trained to keep their eyes solely on their man. Don't worry about nobody else, which a lot of guys have a problem doing because they want to play hero. But you have to lock in on your guy. And physically, you can have a guy that's not as strong as some of the other guys, but have good feet and good hand placement and be able to manipulate the receiver. But so you're a slot corner, you want him to be strong. That kid Noah did that boy can bench press 400 pounds. Hey, that's what I was telling Reason and I were talking about him earlier. I've had time since the draft to really dig into this kid's film. Yeah. Man, this kid, I'm telling you,
Yeah,
Like,
he's growing on me.
Oh man, this kid.
Well, his best games this year against LSU and Alabama, and then he shut down Herbert, right? When Oregon played Auburn.
Yeah. This kid, and he. Well, we'll get to him shortly, but I'm highly impressed.
So, guys, I just wanted to say something quickly, guys. You've heard us talk about and use the phrase mirroring. That's basically what BallGame was describing in terms of when the receiver comes out of the break, staying with them. So, but yeah, go on, EM.
Yeah.
And now you can see, now you can see why there was such, when you dig into this kid's film, you can see why there was such a high level of intrigue from our staff, why they selected him at that point. Because this kid, and I think the only reason why he was picked, he lasted to 30 is because of he's been only playing a position for 2 years.
Yes.
This kid, his ability, his feet, like you just alluded to, his ability to transition with his, in and out of breaks with his opposing wide receiver.
Right.
He's strong. He got grown man strength already. His ability, his hand placement, and his ability to disrupt the line of scrimmage. Those traits are elite right now. Yeah. He just needs repetition to develop the natural. The other instinctive parts that come along with that position. Once he does that, and I heard several people say, when 5 years from now, we could be looking at this kid and in hindsight, looking back on this draft, and this could be the best player that we select, even over Tua Tagovailoa.
That might be.
I've heard that like 2 or 3 times from NFL people.
That's what's up.
And how high they are on him. So,
and EM, when me and him have talked about it, like the one glaring weakness me and him have both noticed, again, goes back to the ball instincts. He needs to learn to turn his head more. He's going to get flagged.
Here's the thing, and I'm glad you said that, because I was just about to make this point. As a coach, right, as in the defensive side of the ball, if I'm a man press, I'm a man press system. I already know without a shadow of a doubt that we're probably not going to have a whole lot of interceptions, right? This is what we teach. Because if my DB is locked on to his receiver, the quarterback probably not throwing the ball to him.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? The vast majority of interceptions come in zone coverage because of the corners and the nickelbacks are actually watching the quarterback. They're watching they're allowing guys a little bit of freedom to move through their zones, but at the same time, they're feeding off the reaction of the quarterback. You're not going to get that in man coverage.
Exactly. And we talked about that before, how, even you look at the schemes at New England over the years, they never, they prioritize obviously the secondary, but their guy, even as great as Stephon Gilmore is, you never see him in a top 5 or top 10 in interceptions, in the air. They prioritize sticky man-to-man. They want to shrink those windows that quarterbacks have to complete that ball to their wide receivers. That's what they prioritize. I'm not going to say that they don't
know man press coverage.
And again, this is why I feel
and tackling. They do prioritize tackling
and tackling as well. Yeah. But this is why I'm feeling some type of way, BallGame, about Xavien Howard. We all know I love X-Man, but again, we all know how undisciplined he can be at times, right?
Right.
We all know his strong suit in exactly, in terms of sticking to his man, because again, he's too undisciplined at times. Okay. But the thing with Xavien Howard is when he freelances a lot, and when it's boom or bust. We've seen him when he makes the right call. He's on Sports Center at every highlight. Right. But again, we've seen him giving up. We've seen him giving up big plays over the years, and I can see why TD has not to the point where TD is killing him like he has been, the last year. But I can see TD does have a point to his critique of Xavien Howard at times. Okay,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But again, Flores, they are about discipline. They are about structure. This is why the selection of Noah, they prioritized him in the first round. Okay.
Right.
Coming off a year, what they did in free agency, I'm feeling some type of way about Xavien Howard. I really am. But
here's the thing. And I wouldn't at any point take away from anything that you just said, because I do believe that there's a lot of merit to what you just said. My thing is that if you want to send a clear message to a player, you go out and you get you a guy that you know without a shadow of doubt physically already has intangibles that you love, but that you know can be coached to do exactly what you want him to do the way you want him to do it. And that's how you send your message. So I believe them picking Noah at number 30 was a message to Xavien Howard. You either get on board, and I don't want to make excuses for him, but to some degree, there wasn't no structure with Matt Burke. You feel me?
Yeah.
And Rashad Jones walking off the field and saying, "I can't play for this guy," was a credit to that. Was a clear indication of that whole point. So when you got guys coaching defense, the players know more about what's going on with the scheme than the coach does. You're gonna get a lot of freelancers. I don't believe that's the nature of who Xavien Howard is with Flores on board. I believe without a shadow of doubt that he will come into the fold and do what he's supposed to do, because he doesn't have to worry anymore about having to do everything and being the top guy, because now Jones has that responsibility.
That's a good point.
Now Howard becomes the lockdown for the number 2 receiver. Feel how you want to feel about it, but Jones making more money, so Jones is gonna get that number 1 spot. And he doesn't. All he gotta do is erase the number 2. Jones has proven time and time again from his performance in Dallas that he can take the number 1s. No excuse for Xavien Howard not to fall in line. And if he don't fall in line, you know, they will take the chances with Needham, and they will take the chance with the young boy, Noah. So it's on him. Either get on board or get on. That's what it's going to come down to. And, you know, I love Xavien Howard, but at the end of the day, I'm about discipline. And I'm about everybody going out there doing your job. Don't leave the man next to you hung out to dry. And if he comes with that foolishness, then I believe without a shadow of a doubt, Flores will say, you know what, your services are no longer needed, and they'll find somebody that will take him. And we'll be fine.
You got an echo going on, EM. I don't know if the volume's too loud in your ears and your mic's picking it up.
Okay, what about now? A little better?
I'll let you know when BallGame starts talking.
Yeah,
okay.
So in theory, I think it's really it's on Xavien Howard, man. I mean, they signed him to the contract, but at the end of the day, it's on him now how long he gonna be with the Dolphins. Nobody else ain't gonna change that. But what they're not gonna, I know what Flores is not gonna tolerate is freelancing. You can't, because if one person freelances, you letting down 10 others, and if you,
and we saw last year. How many games did we see last year when it was a breakdown in the coverage and them giving up huge catastrophic plays?
Right.
You know what I mean? Remember the Pittsburgh game? You know, lack of communication. We saw that consistently last year. So hopefully that.
So
I believe they trusted each other too. I don't believe they. You know, they were still at that point not even feeling caring about. You know, you can tell they weren't really out there playing for each other. You know what I mean? It didn't happen. They didn't actually start playing for each other until Howard actually came off the field and went to injured reserve. After that happened, that's when the young boys was out there, and they were actually, you could tell, you could watch the film and see the film where Jerome was giving the play calls, and then guys were asking questions, and he was directing them and telling them exactly where their help was and what they had to do and things of that nature. That's why Wilkes, I think that's why Wilkes did as well as he did, because he was closer. He was inside on those slot receivers, and he was getting, you could tell Jerome was talking to him a lot. You see what I'm saying? But they started trusting each other. And Howard missed a lot of that because, one, he was hurt, and two, he hadn't bought in. I don't think he had fully bought into the system.
So BallGame. So when Noah Igbinoghene got drafted, and me and EM had our conversation after the first round, one of the first things me and EM started talking about was like, you know, for Xavien Howard if this guy basically develops. So that being said, we're all in agreement that, you know, because he's played that position for a short amount of time, he doesn't quite have, his instincts aren't quite fully there yet.
Right.
So how are you using him in his first year, is he manning the slot as much as you can because X and Byron are on the boundary? Like, how are you using him in packages, sub packages? Where are you lining him up so he can get those ball instincts developed after year one, where he can possibly compete for Xavien Howard's job come 2021?
So the process, right, with a guy like him, you know, especially as highly touted as you brought him, I mean, highly touted as you got him in the first round and things, is to start him at the primary, start him in all your nickel packages at the you start him at the nickel slot and your nickel and dime packages, right? Either the primary 3 or 4 spot, and you let him bang out and battle with the slot receivers that the teams have, and that's how you build them up. Because then in the slot, they have to deal with, you know what I'm saying, a receiver having 2 ways to go. So that increases and improves his ability to change direction and, you know, learning how to play the mirror game or so. You know, you start him in the slot and then you transition them to the boundary, because in the boundary, when they actually out on the boundary, then at that point, it's not as big of a deal because sideline has never lost a game. You feel me saying? The sideline is always your friend. The pressure points, the most difficult spot to play in any defense, really and truthfully, is inside in the slot position, because slot receivers have 2 ways they can go. You feel me? And you know, when you're dealing with that, I think in this defense, his versatility and his ability to be hands-on and physical, that can be covered up a lot of times too, as well, by a linebacker being inside of him and a corner being outside of him with a safety over the top. So the glaring mistakes that he might make can be covered up a bit, and it doesn't deplete his confidence as much as being out on the edge, like we saw with Minkah Fitzpatrick, because Minkah got roasted out on the boundary in some games, and he you know, you could tell by his body language he was dejected. I think Flores and these guys are smart enough to know that we'll start him inside at the nickel, you know what I'm saying, and then we can progress and work him outside and see how he does. But you start him inside first, you know, and then you got Jones who can battle back there for the free safety spot. So you don't even have to even worry about playing him there. You can come out in your best athletic package of nickel, and then have him be the nickel back with Jones and with Byron Jones and Howard out at the boundary spots and lock up. And if need be, I'm hoping, listen, with Needham's athleticism and his ability to catch on to things, I'm hoping he takes, if they offer it to him, I'm hoping he's the free safety.
I was going to ask you, where do you see him fitting in on this rotation now that this corner room is starting to get stacked a little bit here with high value capital players in terms of money was invested in Byron Jones, money's been invested in X, and now our first round picks been invested in Noah Igbinoghene, and Needham looks like he's been one of the hardest workers this offseason, but he's the guy with the most to prove.
But he's without a shadow of a doubt one of their favorites now at this point. I believe from what he was able to accomplish and where he came from being undrafted to now, they got plans for him. So whether that be Igbinoghene takes over the slot positions and Needham, because of his athleticism, is able to convert back to being a free safety, I don't think it really matters to Needham. I think at this point for him, he just wants to be on the field. And with that being said, that's the best attitude he can take into training camp, because then at that point, the coaches will make the best decision, because the best 11 will play. And I don't know what the situation with Tankersley is. I think Adrian Colbert is a wild card, but at the same time, if you're gonna give me Needham at free safety or Colbert at free safety, I'm gonna take Nik Needham, just based on the amount of work that he put in last year to command and you know what I'm saying, the boundary corner spot that he had to take over for when X was gone. You know, now Colbert, does he deserve a shot? I don't know about deserve, because in the NFL, everybody can feel they deserve something, but you got to prove your worth, and Nik Needham did that. So for me, he is right now on paper, because we haven't seen the rookie play with this group, but Nik Needham's the third best corner the Dolphins have right now, in my opinion. So they're going to essentially use that to their advantage to get on the field. Now, Eric Rowe probably already got the strong safety spot locked up, I would think. So that free safety spot is open, and I don't just and he might battle with the rookie for the nickel, the primary nickel spot, but who knows at this point? But he'll be on the field. I know that because they're not gonna they don't want to lose. They don't want him to lose his momentum.
Yeah.
I would as a coach. That kid came a long way and earned the right to be a part of that starting group right now, as far as I'm concerned. Because if Howard, when Howard was hurt, what I mean, he was pretty much our guy that took the number one receiver every week, and that says a lot, especially from.
But
go ahead, bro.
I think the approach this year for our secondary, I think if you're going by how just based off how New England has done things over the years, they prioritize the secondary. I think the goal, considering the depth that we have now in the secondary, especially at the cornerback position, I think the goal is to get is Needham, Noah. I apologize, I can't pronounce his last name, but to get Needham, Noah, Xavien Howard, and Byron Jones on the field as much as possible. Yeah. And the only way you do that is in the fact that they put so much emphasis on run defense in the offseason. That's telling me, because you can't get into your like you termed your exotics unless you get teams in consistent third and long situations.
Right.
So formationally, with that being said, formationally, to the people that might not know, might not be aware, what kind of specific exotic packages we could be looking at that incorporates all of them on the field?
Well, we could. I think probably right out the gate, it would probably be that psycho package they had. Because that basically had everybody standing up at the line of scrimmage, but it was essentially it was like a 2-3-6. That's an option. We could go nickel. The nickel exotics could be the 2-4-5 because there you still have two down linemen in the middle, plugging the A and B. Plugging the B gaps. And then you got the stand-up ends, but they're linebackers. And then you got two middle linebackers with five DBs. The problem with the one sets, the 1-4-7 and the 1-4-6 and the 1-3-7 is that you limit it if somebody hits you with a draw or something like that. But in long, obviously in long yardage situations of something like 12, 3rd, and 13, you can come out and something like that. But to get them all on the field together, it's gonna be real interesting. But we could come out in the base. We could come out in a normal dime.
Yeah. That's what reason I was talking about
come
earlier.
Out in a regular dime 4-1-6 and lock up. Because then
if you
think about it, you'll have Byron and Howard on the edges. You can have Noah and Needham at the slots. And then you can have Rowe
as the dime linebacker, Rowe as the dime linebacker.
Rowe as a dime linebacker. Yeah, exactly. There you go. So then in theory, it would be a 4-7.
Yep.
Technically, it'd be a 4-1-6, but you'd have Rowe in there as the middle linebacker, and oh my God, you lock up everything with that.
Oh yeah. Now if we know that, they know that.
Other teams are thinking about that too. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think definitely that's going to be the approach this year. But the key is they have to address the run defense. You cannot get into your exotic packages on 3rd and 4 and 3rd and 3. Yeah. You cannot do that. It's impossible.
I think if we can limit 2 yards, if we can limit teams and hold like first down, they get 2 yards. Second down, they get 1.5 yards, 2 yards. 3rd and 6s, 3rd and 7s, things of that nature, we get to eat. That would be the perfect scenario for this defense, because then at that point, most teams, with the exception of the Patriots or some outlier, they're not going to run the ball on 3rd and 7, or 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8. Right. They're going to pass the ball. So then they're playing into the strength of what we now have as a strength for us, man coverage. You know, and that's that. Exactly. You know, but you're right. It's got to stop. The run game has to see. We have to annihilate the run game first. And I think with the pieces they brought in, though, that's gonna be the plan, man. Plug the holes, stop the run, and then force people to pass, and then get them off the field for the offense. More opportunities for offense. You know, quicker they can gel in real life, real game situations. So yeah,
I agree 100%.
Oh man, there's so many. Man. I would like to, me personally, I would like to see us deploy a 3-3-5.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So
absolutely.
So we're talking about Needham, we're talking about Howard, we're talking about Jones. Obviously, we're talking about Noah Igbinoghene. Where does Bobby McCain fit in all this ball game and EM? Like by the end of the season, do you guys see him back in the slot? Like where do you guys see him when this all plays out and the smoke settles by the end of the season? Is he the odd man out? Because it's starting to look like he might be.
Yeah. Well, see, here's the thing, right? So they signed Bobby to the contract he's currently on, 3 seasons ago? So he's coming to the end of technically the contract anyway. No one in the NFL is going to be held around on what you did previously, especially when the regime changed. So Bobby and him, bless his heart, taking over the responsibility of shifting to free safety, bought himself some time because that showed Flores and the guys that he's dedicated to the process. But what he's going to be facing, man, is these young dogs on his heels, bro. Like, at the end of the day, if I can get the same production from a younger guy and paying him less, you know, I'm going to have to go ahead and part ways with you because he got one season. Just like most of the other cats, they got one season to prove their worth. I don't care what your contract is. I need to know that you can give me what I need, and Bobby got to do that too. Like I said, this season for him was bought by him going out there and sacrificing himself at free safety last year. But I don't think McCain is a long-range plan for us because if you look at Jones, you know what I'm saying, and hell, even Colbert, both of them are bigger and they're faster and they hit. They can tackle. You see what I'm saying?
In BallGame, I don't understand the intrigue with Flores and this experiment with Bobby McCain at free safety. You know, he's not an elite athlete. He can't tackle anybody. He can't tackle me out there.
Yeah. I don't know, bro.
I don't understand the intrigue. I don't get it, bro.
I was hella dumbfounded by it too. But I think what it might have just come down to, man, is that he was the only guy that Flores thought he could put back there that would actually be able to, that he could trust, maybe. You know? Because when you look at when they transitioned him back there, really wasn't nobody else on the roster, right? Because we got Colbert late. You see what I'm saying? So Bobby by that point had just been, by default, he just became the guy to stay back there. And then he got hurt. You know, then we tried mixing and matching pieces, but see, there was no real production at the free safety spot for us because we didn't have a true free safety on the roster.
Ideally, if it was left up to me, you already know what time it is. I'm waiting on that email. That's all I'm doing.
Yo, just make sure the ink in the ticket printer is refilled.
No, I just stocked up, homie.
The last 2 days have been.
Hey man, I love his courage, man. But Bobby McCain has always been, you know, Bobby McCain to me is kind of like when people talk about having a perfect Jerry curl. You know what I'm saying? Like the curl just right. That's Bobby McCain. Now he was that 1 year when they paid him after that one season. He was phenomenal for us in the slot. He ain't never been that same dude ever since. And he's horrific on the boundary, so you can't play him there. And man, 30-35 yards deep, bro, on the perch. You know what I'm saying? As a free safety in the NFL, screams to any offensive coordinator. He's scared.
But and you know why he's scared? Because Bobby McCain never had good long speed. Never. And free safety, generally that free safety has to be fast. They have to be because they have to cover the back third of the field. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Sideline speed.
It has to be fast.
Yeah. That sideline to sideline speed.
Sideline,
Yeah. So I just don't understand it.
So BallGame, Now that you've had some time to think about it and the smoke has settled a little bit, what are your thoughts on the Brandon Jones pick?
Truthfully, I went and watched some of his film. I mean, I had to, man, because over when we were at TD, I was a bit harsh to some of the picks, man. So I had to go back and take my bias out of it as a fan and look at it from a coaching standpoint. And that's why I went back and evaluated all of our picks from what I see as a coach, as opposed to just being a fan talking about the picks. And I like his tenacity. I like the fact that he was not afraid at any point to stick his nose in and get dirty. He's definitely committed to hitting, which is key. And he has some really good film of him transitioning, man, from his back pedal to getting into his stride and getting over the top and breaking up balls and things of that nature. So I like him. I think he's raw. He's still raw because he has some issues with his eyes, right? Watching and staring a little too much while things around him are still gaining on him.
He's guessing more than he's reading and reacting.
He was stuck in quicksand on some plays because his feet, he stopped his back pedal. Any DB that stopped their back pedal dead in the water, especially when you got a receiver coming at you already up at, he already at full speed. So he's got to get better at that.
I gotta ask you this. I gotta
from the quarterback to getting over the top of the receiver, because his job is one thing: disruption.
Yeah.
Right? If he gets the pick, that's great. But his job is to get over the top, to be there to ensure that the receiver can't make a clean catch. So even if he just knocks it down, he did his job. But he got to be over the top. You can't be doing that, trying to go from behind the receiver who's already beat you to get it, because a lot of times, a lot of these NFL quarterbacks can drop it in the bucket on you.
Yeah, I've said to EM, one of the nitpicks I have of this guy is he rides more than he mirrors. But didn't you notice that? I don't know if EM did. I watched about 2 hours of Brandon Jones. Didn't you notice that? The one thing I noticed in that small amount of time, most of his good plays were coming from the slot.
Yeah.
So I said this to EM. I said, is the long-term goal potentially shift him to the slot and Noah to the outside, and that kicks X out of the equation?
This is what I think, BallGame. When the reason I talked about that, this is what I think the long-term approach is going to be with this selection if he pans out. People are focused on him being a potential free safety or a slot guy. I personally think his skill set transitions to the strong safety position more so than any other position in the secondary, because I think he's going to be Eric Rowe's replacement. This kid is a natural safety. Okay.
Yeah.
He is, and he draws to me. I see a lot of Rashad Jones in terms of how violent he is in the open field when he's bringing guys down.
Yeah.
I mean, he's explosive in the open field.
Like a lion tackling a gazelle.
And I'm talking about a young Rashad Jones. You remember? I'm talking about a young Rashad
the version
Jones.
We fell in love with. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think, and he has a lot of Patrick Chung in his game. Okay. If you go back and watch tape, how they deployed.
I never Chung never dropped in my head, but I can, now that you said that, I can see it.
And look at how versatile he is. Look at how versatile Patrick Chung is. Okay. They can drop him down in nickel and dime linebacker situations where he's covering tight ends, running backs outside the backfield. And I think this kid is a better athlete than Rashad Jones and Patrick Chung ever were in their apex. So I think the long-term solution, that's why everybody's thinking, well, we need a free safety. I think they selected him, and they're thinking 2 or 3 steps ahead. He's going to be our future strong safety if he pans out.
I think the reason why they're thinking that is because his most snaps came from the slot, and his second most snaps came from free safety, right? That's why I think people are boxing him in there. But I'm just saying, when I watched him, maybe it's because he played almost 400 snaps in the slot, so I saw a lot of snaps in the slot, but that's where I was noticing him the most, was in the slot. That's just what I saw. So,
and that's legit.
It reminds me of though?
Who?
Jabril Peppers.
Oh.
I don't think he's quite the athlete though. Peppers
No. I'm not talking in terms of athleticism. I'm talking in terms of the way the violence in which he goes about the job. Like, yeah.
I can see that.
Well, even Noah Igbinoghene, he's a violent hitter too, bro.
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
He loves both. That's the one thing I did notice about both of the guys. Like, they welcome the physicality. They don't shy away from it. So,
and Brandon Jones, go put that LSU tape on. When Texas played LSU this year, that kid was everywhere.
Both of these guys' best games became. That's crazy.
Yeah, big time talent.
Yeah.
So, and who knows? Hey, and to be honest with you, Reason, we talked about this before when the other day. Who's to say we all had our ideas on who we thought they should select? The sexy picks. Antoine Wingfield, Xavien McKinney.
I don't want to call it sexy picks because you know how I feel with I also wanted Geno Stone from Iowa. He went to the Baltimore Ravens, and I had him on mine. And you know what they're calling? They're calling Geno Stone potentially the secondary steal of the draft because of how late they got him. Like, I don't think a guy like Kevon Wallace would have fit, but I think a guy like Terrell Burgess and Geno Stone would have fit what we're doing. And I really think Geno Stone is going to be you're going to watch him flourish in that Ravens defense. So,
but we all had an idea who we thought they should select.
But and the other thing is, can I also correct you on this?
Go ahead.
Winfield Jr., when me and you were talking about 6 months ago, was not a sexy pick.
Yeah, you're right.
Ashton Davis, when me and BallGame were talking about him 6 months ago, was not a sexy pick.
You're absolutely right.
We didn't even have Gerald Alexander when me and BallGame were talking about Ashton Davis.
All three of us definitely were out ahead of the curve with those two players. So not to toot our own horns or anything like that, but it is what it is.
No, but we did do an amazing job of evaluating these kids, man, and trying to figure out who would be good fits and things of that nature. So, at some point, we are supposed to toot our horns a little bit because we put a lot of work in for our fans.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, BallGame, if Gase didn't swoop in at 68, Ashton Davis would have been the 6 at 70. That's already been talked about. So, yeah.
But I think who's to say? I mean, we're looking at this kid as a fallback plan. You know what I mean? Compared to the other players. Who's to say that Flores? Obviously, Flores and them hold him in high regard. Because they would have traded up. They had plenty of ammo to do whatever they wanted to do and trade up to get whoever they wanted in the first and second round. Right. But they didn't do that. So.
He said it right. He said everything fell to them exactly. Everybody that he wanted fell to him exactly where they wanted to follow.
See, but I heard BallGame. See, I heard one of the reasons we traded back with Green Bay. What I've come to understand is we wanted Cesar Ruiz with that pick, and they weren't expecting the Saints. They weren't expecting the Saints to take him because their center just went to the Pro Bowl, and then the Saints kind of sideswiped everyone, and their next man up on their board was Noah Igbinoghene after Cesar Ruiz. So. I mean, it felt right. Hey, if we would have made that Cesar Ruiz, would we have got Robert Hunt? You know what I mean? And I really like the Robert Hunt pick. It fell the way it fell, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's an attestment. That says basically that they stuck to their board.
Yeah.
Which is really what you have to do. No freelancing. If your guy's gone, you take the next guy up.
And they added a pick while getting the next guy up too, so you got to respect it, right?
Which turned out to be Kinley. He could turn out to be a Pro Bowl guard for us.
Oh, and guys, the fact that they even got a pick today for Charles Harris, they deserve a standing ovation.
Brilliant! Brilliant!
You know what? I must say, BallGame and EM. Greer has really impressed me in this first year in terms of, we've educated a lot of these people in terms of the draft picks. So we can sit here and look at the draft picks and we're like, when the picks came, people were like, oh, BallGame and Reason were mad at the Noah Igbinoghene. No, we had no problem with the kid. We just thought there was more pressing needs for where we were picking at 30. It wasn't a problem with the kid. It was just where the kid was picked. That's all. But as you can tell, as we've watched more on this kid, we're like, okay, we get it. The only one the jury's really out on all of us for is Brandon Jones, but we see why they took him. So we see how he can fit in because he's versatile. One thing you can't take away from Brandon Jones is he's versatile.
Right.
So,
absolutely. And all of them, look at the theme. Look at the theme that of all the players that they selected. Every pick, all of them, versatility and physicality, all of them,
and adversity.
Yep, that's true.
Yep.
They've all faced some type of adversity.
Yep.
Came out on the other side of it. Better
character.
High character guys. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Even the guys we got on day 3, they faced adversity at the draft because they all weren't supposed to be day 3 picks.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like the first 3 of them at least. You know.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So
I think that I think they did a phenomenal. I think they did a phenomenal job as well, bro. I think everything fell. I mean, the way they maneuvered this draft, it was flawless.
It was masterful,
flawless.
Man. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I
they got on paper, it was flawless.
I couldn't have. Now going back and thinking about it, yeah, maybe there are a couple pieces different, but overall, man, I don't think based on what they did in terms of why they took the guys they took, it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad for the first time in a long time that the Dolphins stuck to their draft board, didn't rely on pieces haphazardly falling to us that shouldn't have ever happened, like Minka and Tunsil. We got the guys that we wanted, and we got them for the reasons we wanted them. And
exactly,
that's just a testament to the fact that them guys really put their homework in, man. And now just got to coach. Flores, Greer got him to pieces. Now you just got to coach him.
And even with Brad Ferguson, guys, we drafted the long snapper, and then with our cuts a couple days ago, we cut our long snapper, so they're not even, they're making the most of all these picks. Right now, it makes sense as why they passed on a guy like James Proche. It's because they didn't because Denny's not around, obviously, but we had that other kid with the hyphen in his name that we cut a couple days ago, and you could tell, hey, we're not happy with this. Draft him at 185, even with the perfect ideal slot receiver on the board. Hey, let's fill that need. So you could tell they used every single pick. And then, even when you go to the UDFAs between Benito Jones and Kirk Merritt, and now I've started to watch, I was telling I've started to find and watch more on Matt Cole. And this Matt Cole kid has me excited too, man. Like, I mean, you can see why they're doing things, right? Like Charles Harris and Taco Charlton, not only are they kind of expendable, but they probably want those roster positions because they probably see someone or they want to leave it open, for the offseason before the season starts, right?
I like the Merritt kid, man.
Yeah, Kirk Merritt, man.
Man, that kid. Oh, my God. Oh, yeah.
Oh, bro.
47 inches, bro.
Yeah, man.
Oh,
and there's a rumor that he has hit, there's a rumor that he's hit like 49 inches before.
Ball game. They gotta find a spot for this kid, bro.
Oh yeah, they definitely can't let him get out the building, bro.
No. You have to find this kid needs to be on the roster day one.
Get Hearns out of there, man.
Dude, I think Hearns and Isaiah Ford are going to be replaced by Merritt and Matt Cole. Ball game, go watch Matt Cole. The one thing I've told EM that I've noticed between Matt Cole and Kirk Merritt, when you look at because Kirk Merritt runs like a 4.33 and Matt Cole's no slouch. He got like 4.3 speed, or like late 4.3 speed on tape at least. And I haven't looked at what his 40 was. Anyways, when you look at them ball game, you look at their size and where they've played. Because I've watched the Merritt snaps in 4 games. I watched Texas State in 2018, Texas State in 2019, and then I watched him against Georgia, and I watched him against Alabama, and he didn't do much against Georgia and Alabama, but those Texas State games, he had big games. Bro, when you watch him, you know what he looks like? He looks like an Alabama receiver. It looks like they went and got the prototypical Alabama receiver for Tua, and then when I watched Matt Cole, because Matt Cole got put onto me. There's this article by Sports Illustrated. It's called Prospect X, and it ends up being him. And then so I watched into him, and I was like, oh, my God, it's another prototypical Alabama receiver that can play the slot, and he can play the boundary. I'm like, if Preston Williams isn't back to 110%, God help him. Like, God help him.
I'm telling you, that kid Merritt, they have to find a spot for him because wherever he goes, he is taking the coverage with him.
Yeah,
I mean, if you just have him out there as a decoy alone,
he definitely has the ability to take the top off. That's for sure.
And bro, you ain't bumping him, and you ain't bumping him, and getting him off balance, bro.
I dare you to try it.
Yeah, bro. Guy's ripped, man.
Man. So, and he's a legitimate wide receiver. It's not like he's Jakeem Grant, a gadget guy. This guy's a legitimate wide receiver, and he's 6 foot, 215 pounds, bro.
And it's ripped.
And moving like that.
This guy's got like 5% body fat, bro.
To Grant's credit, though, man, at Texas Tech now, he was the man.
He was.
And a lot of people think he's a slot guy when he was actually a boundary guy.
He was.
Yeah, but everyone's like, oh, when you hear ball game, when you hear people saying, oh, if Albert Wilson go in the slot, the next name you hear is Jakeem Grant, when not realizing that's not his strength coming in. You know what I mean?
I mean primarily from a size standpoint. I'm talking about height wise. You know what I mean? So
yeah, 6 foot 15, man, moving the way he moved.
I know we're talking about. I know we got off a little, got sidetracked for a minute, but I'm curious to what you think about Raekwon Davis, bro, from Alabama.
I'm glad. Hey, you know what I should have adopted, man. I was screaming at the top of my lungs, man. D-line, we need to finish the D-line, I thought we would have been okay in the secondary, but when he fell, all the reports said that we were talking to him anyway, and we got him. Man, if I could have flipped in this room, I would have did it, bro. Cause like
he was doing a dance. He should have been there. Yeah, he was literally doing a dance.
He only 306, 307, 308, somewhere in there. But he is disruptive, man.
Oh, isn't he though?
His handwork, and his motor, bro, is phenomenal.
Dude, a ball game. If you can get that pass. If you can get that pass rush production he had in his sophomore season added to his game where he had 10.5 seconds. That's what me and EM were talking. And I said to EM, I'm like, yo, this kid reminds me of Chris Jones, man.
But you know what happened?
Chris Jones.
Yeah. But you know what happened, Reason?
He got shot.
No. Teams also, bro. They also game plan for him more.
Yeah.
So they were sending the center. The guard, and they were tipping him with the fullback at times, bro.
Yeah.
And you know what, ball game? You're absolutely right, because Terrell Lewis was hurt a good portion of the year.
Exactly.
And Dylan Moses. And
him as well. So you would single him up and double him inside.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And slide the line towards him. You know what I mean? So that makes perfect sense. Perfect sense. I'm telling you.
To me, as a defensive coordinator, that's what I want. I want my guy to understand and have the mindset to say, you know what, you might not have the one-on-ones, brother. They probably gonna double you, and him look over at me and say, Coach, as long as it gets somebody else free, I'm good with it. You feel me?
Yeah.
That's the type of dude. That's the type of dude he is. He'll eat those double teams so somebody else can flourish.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? He gonna do his job.
And we talked about that on the previous stream. A lot of what he does, doesn't show up in the box score. You know what I'm saying? You can't record that. It's not you can't measure that. You know what I mean? In grid or flow. Look, if you go back to the draft, it's two selections that Flores showed emotion on. Tua, number one, and Raekwon Davis. And he was more demonstrative with that Raekwon Davis pick. That dude he was jumping up and down.
He was swatting flies, remember?
You can hear it back in his voice. He was talking to him on the phone when they played the replay back. He was like, I just want you to bring everything that you've been bringing. I just want you to bring it to us, and we'll take care of the rest. Just come ready. That's it. You know what I mean? He's just and again, remember when Chris Jones, he slid to the third round. Right. Remember when he came out, he slid, and Reason was spot on when he said he was talking about their profile. Both of them 6'7". When Chris Jones came out, he was on the slender side. He was about 315, 317. But obviously he's put on weight since he's been in the league.
They both have the frames to put on weight and hold it.
Right, exactly.
Oh, yeah. And if you look at Chris Jones is outstanding in deploying two gap principles, bro. That's why he is what he is.
Right.
So there's a lot of parallels from an athletic profile standpoint and their skill set between him and Chris Jones. So, again, he's got to go out on paper. But he's got to go out and improve it on the field. But, bro, we've been banging the table for that dude all year long.
All year long.
So I was ecstatic.
Yeah. I was definitely, man, Christmas had came early when they selected him. I was like, man, they got to get him. And they got him. I was so happy, bro.
It's so disruptive.
Like, I don't get over the top about skill players. I like defensive players. Like,
me too. I'm with you,
homie.
The
guys that do the dirty work. And this kid,
I'm with you, homie.
Is a lunch pail. He got his hard hat under the left arm. He got his lunch pail in the right arm. He going to work. He gonna give you his 8 to 10 hours every day. Yep. You know what I mean? That's what I want.
And he's another one where me and EM in our conversations. Me and EM think that he's another one where he has the potential in 3 or 4 years. You could say he was the best player in this draft.
Yeah, I think that kid might very well have the potential to be the very next Aaron Donald while we talking about it. Like, if you look at his motor, you know, all he has to do now is take to the coaching that they're going to give him, bro, and the sky's the limit for him. And the fact that we got him where we got him, people are going to be like, how the hell do we miss this kid?
I know, right?
Well, hey, when we started that stream ball game, I said they have to take him at 56. That's where the sweet spot is. And honestly, thank God the Ravens took J.K. Dobbins because we needed Raekwon. Right? We needed Raekwon more for our defense.
Right. And obviously, because see, again, they could have traded up. Miami could have traded up at any point. Obviously, I think the reason why they didn't trade up is because they didn't want to risk losing him. You know what I'm saying? Because if they would trade up, that would have made things a little more difficult in selecting him. So, but his hand, like you said earlier, his hand placement is Aaron Donald-like. It's crazy.
And this crazy part is it's already there. So all they can do now, all they have to do now is just refine it and just keep building up on it. It's rare. It is very rare that you see defensive linemen come out already able to play the hand game, man. A lot of them struggle with, you know, a lot of them struggle with that. A lot of them just want to go in there and just be brutes, man. But there is elegance. There is elegance to his violence, man.
Absolutely.
Crazy.
I agree 100%, bro.
So, ball game, how big of an impact do you expect this front seven to have on these corners in terms of no more 7-second coverage expected from our corners, right?
Listen, the pieces that we added this offseason alone, bro, makes us that much better. Like it's like 180. I mean, I'm gonna go. I'm step out on a limb and say it. What we lacked last year in pressure and being able to pressure the quarterback and get to the quarterback, we're 180 out. It's a whole nother. We on a whole nother direction now, bro, and it's positive because the guys that we brought in, that's all they do. They are disruptive. They create pressure up front. They collapse pockets. They don't allow quarterbacks to camp out back there all day and eat. That's what they did. And they brought in the right guys for it. The crazy part is that we are so deep at the linebacker spot that I don't know how I don't know. Man, it's gonna be those cuts are gonna be brutal, bro.
Yeah, I agree.
We're starting to get deep in the trenches though now. Even with Benito Jones, right? Benito Jones is going to be battling for that spot too.
And I think this young man needs a little. We need to have a conversation about him as well because reason when we did our defensive tackle board, some weeks back, we had our top 5. We had top 10 in 5 honorable mention guys. Well, who was number 6 on our board? Benito Jones.
Yeah.
Right.
And this kid, now, again, he's not the player at this stage. He's a different type of player than Raekwon Davis, first off. But this kid he's more of in terms of his stature, I think his skill set, his stature is more suited to play the middle zero technique. Because in my opinion now, I want my guy to be, now again, you have guys that can obviously play at a high level there that are taller. But you generally want a guy that's smaller, that has a lower center of gravity. You know what I mean? Right. That can that gives them a leg up in terms of the leverage game at the point of engagement. Right. So Benito Jones, and he's 325 already. Right. You know what I mean? And this kid going into the draft process, he's projected to go anywhere from round 3 to round 7. To round 6. So for them to get him in that undrafted territory, immense value.
Yeah,
immense value. So I think personally, and we talked about this, before the draft as well. I would have rather them double up at the nose tackle position with Raekwon Davis, and my other pick was Leaky Fatu. And I think that could have been on the board. You know what I mean? That could have been part of the game plan, but he was taken, by I think the Arizona Cardinals before, I think in the 4th round, I believe. But anyway, Jones, to get him to double up and get him, in the SEC. And this kid, again, look at the overall depth of our defensive line now compared to this time last year.
And it's all Flores. Bro. It's mainly Flores guys now.
Crazy.
They've turned it around so heavily that it's mainly Flores and like Devon Gotcha's looking around the room like,
Crazy.
I hate they couldn't figure out something with Ledbetter though.
Mm-hmm.
I know, man. I'm disappointed, bro.
Yeah.
I really wanted to see that kid develop, man. I don't know what happened there.
They got plans for Seiler though.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
And that was one of his waiver wire pickup last year too. So it's nice to see that.
Zeiler is a hell of an athlete, bro. That kid, a lot of what he has, man, you just cannot teach.
Yeah,
that's strong, that fast, at 295 pounds. Yeah, that athletic.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know, but again, that tells you an athlete like that was on their practice squad. Think about the depth that Baltimore had up front. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? With Brandon Jones, Michael Pierce, and et cetera, et cetera. And for a player that has that kind of ability was on their practice squad last year.
That's scary, bro.
So
think about it. My only fear is that with Benito Jones, man, they got 53 spots to fill. Some are already filled. Dang, man, putting him on your practice squad, somebody gonna snatch him, bro.
Yeah. Somebody gonna get him, Somebody will get him. No doubt. No doubt.
So how effective do you think the secondary is going to be next year at BallGame? Like, are they going to need a ton of time or not that much time to mesh or gel?
No, they're not going to need a lot of time because essentially Jones is coming in. Byron Jones is coming in to do exactly what he was doing in Dallas. Mm-hmm. Man up, take the number one receiver, mirror him everywhere you go, and Jones. And like I said, Howard now goes to doing the exact same thing, but to the number 2. And then whoever they come out in a 3 wide receiver set, then next man up. So essentially, hell, Needham, the whole back end of the season last year they played man press. Mm-hmm. So it's nothing new. It's just continually refining the techniques. You know what I mean? And in all actuality, Eric Rowe dropped down in the box to take the tight end man to man. So essentially, what we asking the free safety to do is really just roam deep and make sure nobody gets deeper than you. Because everybody else, they're doing their job. They locked up on the boundaries, locked up inside. Rowe got the tight end. Linebackers get to stop the run. Free safety job is just to make sure nobody, what we call, no inmate sneaks out the back door.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we talk. We
lock them up. We put them in jail. We lock them up.
And we talked about that. Whatever free safety that they start there, their read in terms of the reads of the field will be simplified because X is gonna have the one boundary locked up. Byron Jones is gonna have the other boundary locked up. So his primary focus will be on the middle of the field. You know what I mean? So we might not have needed to make that big of an investment in a safety that has, overdeveloped instincts. But that ideally you want a player that that has that level of ability. But again, every team don't have what we have on the boundaries now.
That's true.
So again, his reads in terms of the field, his primary focus will be on the middle of the field, helping them linebackers and Eric Rowe out. Because generally 9 out of 10 times, Xavien Howard and Byron Jones, they're not gonna need much help.
No.
So.
Yeah.
So how do you think
the least amount of help you have to render? You don't have to even really. That's the beauty of what we have right now with having X and Byron on. You don't have to lend help to those guys. So you can pretty much put blinders on to what's going on the outside and focus primarily right there in the middle between the hashes of what's going on there with the other 9 people. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
That's amazing.
That's a beautiful thing to have, bro. That's a beautiful thing to have.
So how do you guys think guys like Josh Allen with his accuracy issues, Sam Darnold, who's proven when you get pressure on him, he becomes a bad decision maker, and Jarrett Stidham, who's going to be his first year running an NFL offense, how do you guys think these 3 guys in the AFC East are going to fare against our new improved secondary if we get the pressure that we all believe we're going to get from the new and improved front 7?
It's gonna be a problem, man. You're gonna see a lot more. You're gonna see a lot more incompletions, a lot more sacks, truthfully, because if they ain't got nobody to throw to, saying young quarterbacks, man, they get nervous. You know what I mean? Or you got a guy like Josh Allen who is really and truthfully going to rely on his arm talent to make. They're gonna make some bad decisions. You know what I'm saying? Like we got young quarterbacks in the division, bro. Like young quarterbacks don't fare well at all against man press. Teams that most guys see a lot of success in zone because you know what beats cover 3. You know what I'm saying? You know what beats cover 4, but and even then cover 4 can be tricky because it translates and it converts to man coverage after 8 to 9 yards. You see what I'm saying? So when you get into a guy right there in the box, splitting your wide receiver half and half, and he redirecting them to the outside and running with him stride for stride and not letting them get back inside for the deep end cut or things of that nature, that becomes a problem because young quarterbacks need timing. Everything they do is built off of timing, and then you take their timing and the ability for them to time things away. Yeah, the mistakes happen.
Like you can see parts in Josh Allen's game where they haven't got away from that one read, learn as you go type of thing with his offense. And if you take that first read away, that's going to be a serious issue for a guy like that, right? So
I think it all starts up front with the run game, though. If we can make teams one dimensional, that secondary is going to eat.
Yeah,
for sure.
So
give me a second, guys.
Yeah, no worries.
Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
So, you think Howard's going to be a Dolphin past 2020?
Man, reason to be honest with you, bro, I really don't. I love it first.
And guys, we're both fans of X, by the way.
We love Xavien Howard.
Yeah.
We love Xavien Howard. But I think them prioritizing this kid, Needham's emergence, the improvement, that he displayed last year, and then prioritizing this kid in the first round this year, somebody is going to be made expendable, and I think it will be Xavien Howard. I think this off the field issue that he had this past year, in addition to another offseason knee surgery, whatever you want to call it, he had surgery again on his knee. Those 2 pressing issues, I think, that put a sour taste in Brian Flores' mouth, I think. And, I think if they had a decent trade offer, I think they would have moved off of him this year.
Yeah.
I think this year. But I think the strategy is going to be get him back healthy, get him back on the field. Hopefully he returns to Pro Bowl form.
And then
his trade value inflates.
Yep.
And then you trade him next year. But either way, if he gets beat out in training camp,
he gone.
Whatever. He's gone regardless.
Yeah.
He won't be.
If these young kids show any level of promise past what they have estimated in their minds right now, it's a wrap.
Yeah.
It's a wrap for
them. Younger, cheaper, and both of them are better athletes than what Xavien Howard is.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jason Sarney for the image and our new secondary, aka the Florida Keys.
Florida Keys.
That's what's up.
Check him out on Twitter, guys, at Orange Aquaman. And you can check his content out on Fin Maniacs. But Yeah, you gotta love it. It really this secondary's
Scary.
man, and the way they built the front seven from it's like
This
you're
defense
right,
is
ball
scary,
game.
bro.
It's a 180. It's total night and day.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
and what's more exciting is that they got most of them are their guys.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So
That's
well,
the one.
especially in the front seven.
You're stuck with playing some guys when you take over as a coach. You're stuck with playing some guys from the previous regime just because there's no real way for you in one off season. When they hired him, there was no real way for him to purge the roster the way he would probably wanted to. So you take what you got into the first season, and then you figure it out from that point. But with the amount of capital we had, there was nowhere in the world, and the amount of money we had at our disposal, you just knew that he was going to go out and get his type guys. That's what any coach. I don't know too many coaches, man, even in high school, that they take over a program from previous guys that they don't. You you're not really even stuck with playing kids that had success under previous coach because those kids have to learn your system. A lot of times if they don't coexist or they can't coexist with and pick up what you got going on, somebody else steps up to the forefront and you find that's the beauty of finding new stars. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Every coach wants to put their imprint on their team, and that's what Flores has done. But they did it the right way. They stripped it all down to make sure and ensure that there wasn't going to be no issues and no holdovers with foolishness. Anybody that wasn't 100%, dedicated to the process, get them up out of here and get some value for them and keep it moving. Because at the end of the day, it's Flores' team now, and he's made his stamp on this draft alone. Signifies that if anybody had any questions about what's what, this is now a Brian Flores team, Brian Flores led defense. The type of players he got, the guys that he got, veteran guys that know what his scheme requires to teach the young guys behind them. And you can't help you can't do nothing but love that, man. The optimism.
Oh yeah.
But if anybody sitting in the chat, man, is not optimistic about even just the fact that the defense is going to be that much more daunting, then I don't know what else. I don't know what else people need, man. This is going to be unreal, bro. I'm so over the top excited right now, man. I can't even contain myself sometimes sitting down. I have conversations with my son, and they be like, Dad, even in high school, man, we locked up people all the time, but this Dolphins thing going to be scary.
Yeah.
And if that in terms of like my sons played for me, and I wouldn't even be remotely even sell them on anyone. They walked away from the game because they just didn't like the politics of what was happening when they were getting ready to sign with colleges and stuff. So they decided we done. We're not going to be, dealing with this foolishness and all this other type of stuff that they had going on with guys talking back and forth and promising one thing and changing things. But that secondary we had was scary. But I never in my life imagined that the Dolphins would have another secondary that could be as good as Patrick Surtain and Sam Madison with Brock Marion, you know what I'm saying, and Arturo Freeman.
Jeremiah Bell.
Bruh, this group has the potential to wipe them completely off people's minds.
Oh yeah.
That is scary, man.
And they're young, bro. They're so young and deep now. It's like we went in 1 year. This time last year, we had no depth at all. 38% of the roster undrafted. All these undrafted linemen. Look, and now especially if they improve that run game. If we have a running game this year, can you imagine the devastation that we are going to cause in the AFC East next year? Especially now that Brady is gone. I'm telling you, man, we are going to be a problem day one for the entire NFL. I'm telling you.
It's going to be a problem.
Telling you. Oh man, I cannot wait, bro. Oh, I can't wait.
So, ball game.
Yes, sir.
EM, you guys got anything else you want to say before we get out of here? Because I know ball game's got something going on.
I'm in it right now, man. I can hang out, bro. I'm good. I can do two things. I'm good.
No, you good? Y'all want to take some questions then?
Yeah, we'll take some questions. So I saw one. Havoc 1, what do you think of Patrick Surtain the second? Bro, top 10 pick. He's on my list. If we get a top 10 pick, I'll take Patrick Surtain to replace Xavien Howard. He's disgusting.
You know,
disgusting.
Just the fact that his last name is Surtain. If whoever asked who Havoc asked that question, man, go back and just YouTube Patrick Surtain Sr., bro, and just take a look at how impactful he was with the Dolphins when he played, man. This kid is his father, but more athletic, more of a ball hawk, and a bigger hitter. Scary.
Yeah. I'm high on Tim. I'm high on him as well.
Scary. Like,
I'm high on him as well.
There used to be this thing that said that there used to be this saying that the second coming could never outdo the first version, but I'm seeing different, man. These kids are phenomenal nowadays, bro. And Stingley too.
Yeah, but Stingley's coming out the year after, right? Yeah. He's not coming out next year.
Stingley gonna be a dog, too, bro.
Yeah.
He was a true freshman, man. Yeah. To accomplish what he accomplished as a true freshman,
bro, he should have won that award over Grant Delpit. I don't know how Grant Delpit won best corner when it was Stingley. I don't care what anyone says.
It shouldn't even been close.
Yeah. So Pizza Auto, go ahead.
Real quick, BallGame. Have you had any chance to watch any more film on Tua?
Yeah, man. I'm good, man. I'm good on. I'm solid. I'm sold.
Okay, and did you notice? Remember what I was telling everyone before that pick? What was I saying? I was saying, don't sleep on Chan Gailey implementing the RPO. And what have you seen the past couple of days? Chan Gailey's going to be implementing the RPO, and we have arguably the best guy ever to run the RPO. Like, I'm telling you, I was telling EM this in our conversation. I don't think people realize how seamless of a transition it might be if they heavily insert that RPO for Tua. Because what that relies, your number one thing on that is what? Being a quick decision maker. And that is one of his strong traits. That's one of his biggest traits, right? So, if you're going to force a young kid to make quick decisions in an offense he's totally comfortable in, and he's known as being a quick decision maker, I see defenses for the first year at least, until the tape is out on him, having a bit of a problem. I really do if he's fully healthy.
And especially if we improve and if he has a running game to lean on, actually. You know what I mean? If the running game becomes a strength for us, that RPO is going to be that much more deadly to opposing teams. So you can't have an RPO if you don't have a running game.
That's true.
So I know that's why the focus this offseason was the approach was to improve up front at all costs. So you spot on, Reason. I can see that 100%, bro.
So guys, Pizza Auto, I'll let you guys each handle this. Pick one new player that will have the biggest impact next year, not named Tua.
We'll go first, EM, or you want me to go?
Just because I'm gonna beat you to the punch, I think. It's got to be Raekwon Davis.
You stole my dude.
I knew it. I think this kid. I cannot stress to the Dolphin fan base how ecstatic I am that we were able to get this kid. I mean, you talk about Tua's seamless transition to our offense. I think he will be the same. His transition to our defense will be seamless because he's already exhibiting consistently throughout his career at Alabama those traits that are the most important within this scheme. He's already doing it at a high level in the SEC. Again, you want to see how dominant this kid is with his hands? Go put on that Georgia tape when he when he stacked up Isaiah Wilson, who just went in the first round when Alabama played Georgia. Go put that tape on and watch this kid, how elite he is in his hand placement. So I think, again, familiarity with the defense, we basically want to deploy the same offense and defense that Alabama deploys, basically, when you really look, when you get the details of it. So I think his transition, just like Tua, will be seamless to our defense. And I think he could turn it into I will be shocked if this kid is not a day one starter. I will be shocked.
Yeah, I'm thinking, since he took my guy, I gotta go with Austin Jackson.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the amount of snaps he's going to get for sure.
Yeah, the amount of playing time he's gonna get, man. And the kid, if he's mentally ready, well, I think he's mentally tough and ready for it. The sky's the limit for him.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
I agree. I'm high on him as well. That kid's upside. You know, I get. You know, you would want one of the more polished products. You know, maybe, but this kid's upside is equal to any player that was picked before him.
Yeah.
And maybe even exceed some of them. This kid has elite ability. And again, it's up to the coaching staff to get that out of him. But he's got elite athletic ability, man. I mean, so yeah, I'm high on that pick. I'm glad we didn't trade up at the end of the day, had a board out. In hindsight, looking back at the draft now, how the draft fell to us when we didn't have to, you know, trade additional assets for anybody picked in the first, second, or third round. But his upside, you can see why there's a high level of intrigue with this athlete because his ceiling is as high as anybody's in the draft that was picked before him, the mother tackle. So
I'm going to go with Robert Hunt because I feel like if you slide him in at guard, I feel he could develop into a top 10 guard in the NFL. I think he's good enough in terms of if you line up a Solomon McKinley and design our line the way we think they're going to design it, I think he can be more than efficient at right tackle. And I think that's why you're hearing them say that they want to start him off at right tackle before they even look at guard, because I think they think this guy is going to beat out Jesse Davis and they're going to be able to slide Jesse Davis to right guard to battle with Kinley. I really think when the season starts, Robert Hunt is going to be our right tackle. I love that pick. That's one of my favorite picks of the draft, to be honest with you. Esteban says, what do y'all think about Diggs saying, so Diggs had a little video you can find on Twitter. What do y'all think about Diggs saying Tua's mentality was a dog in practice? He never let it be known by his demeanor, though. I don't know if you guys saw that, but Trevon Diggs was basically saying how every time you went out to practice, he would just smile and he was a dog to the point where Trevon Diggs said he barely ever was able to make a play. And he said, I only picked him off like once or twice the whole time I practiced with him. And he's like, he was so competitive that he let Tua know because he didn't get many opportunities to jump Tua. Yeah. So whenever he got the opportunity, he was all up into his face. But he was going off about how Tua was a dog in practice, how he wasn't messing around.
I'm not surprised at all. I mean, his film tells you everything you need to know about this kid. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And the fact that he's that silent assassin. You know what I mean? He's, quiet. You can't get a read on him. You don't know because you know how how football is, how much chatter that goes on. They talk about your mama, your grandmama, your wife, your daughter, everybody. Right. So you can tell how that's a testament to his mental fortitude, that where nothing phases him. You know what I mean? He's got the same demeanor no matter what the situation is. So I'm not surprised at all because all of that is confirmed on tape.
Mm-hmm. So what do you guys think about Devontae Smith? I personally said, guys, that if we have a top 15 pick, and we're at a position where we can take kind of a luxury pick, right, I wouldn't mind a Jalen Waddle or Devontae Smith to give another a comfortable target for him. Obviously, I want like a Penei Sewell or a Micah Parsons or, someone like that, or even maybe a Travis Etienne possibly before I go receiver. But what do you guys think about Devontae Smith? Would you guys be disappointed if we came out next year with him in the first round? Even a Jamar Chase possibly?
Nope. All dogs. Both of them dogs, man. Premier wide receivers. They'll probably be the top of the class next year. So can't go wrong, man. The kid, Devontae, if Smith had came out this year, he'd have went first round.
Oh, for sure, 100%.
Oh,
yeah, he would have been right there with the rest of them guys. So
because when you actually break down the numbers, ball game, he was actually Alabama's most productive receiver this year.
Right.
So,
I don't think we need to trade for Malik Hooker at this point.
Yeah, I agree. What do you think, EM?
I mean, I wouldn't be upset. I mean, I'll be happy, bro. I think
trading for Malik Hooker.
Oh, no.
We don't need it.
No. I'm sorry. I thought you was talking about Devontae Smith again. I'm sorry. No, not at all. I don't. I'm staying away from Malik Hooker, bro.
Yeah, I don't. At this point now, with the moves we made, I think we are young enough, and those guys are coachable enough to be superstars in their own rights, as long as they commit. So I don't need to go get a guy like Hooker who's been over there with Indianapolis. I mean, it would have been nice that they'd have made that hit. If they'd have brought him in prior to the draft, then yeah. But after the draft's been finalized, not this point, man.
He's a strong safety anyway, though, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. No. We need. No.
Yeah, we all want to know that, bro. But it's gonna be nasty, bro. I tell you that Weaver, that boy gonna be. Oof. You want to know how nasty Weaver gonna be?
When he gets body.
You know what? Like he's been taking a lot of criticism in terms of his conditioning, his body type. You know, when Derek Barnett came out out of Tennessee the same year that we drafted Charles Harris. You know, Barnett was the first defensive end taken off the board that year, and that was a knock on him. He wasn't shredded. You know, there were concerns about his conditioning. And look at the kind of player that he's turned out to be, very productive, you know what I mean, for Philadelphia. So I see a lot of Weaver. I see Barnett wasn't overly athletic. He wouldn't blow you away in his 40 time. He's not going to blow you away in his testing. But the kid, he's got that innate ability. If you can get to the quarterback, you can get to the quarterback. It's some things some players just have that ability no matter what. We don't know how they're doing it, but they just have this ability to get to the quarterback. Derek Barnett was highly productive in Tennessee. He's been a productive player for the Philadelphia Eagles. And I look at Curtis Weaver the same way. Look at the production at Boise State. And again, this kid is not going to, they won't put him on the cover of, any muscle magazine or anything like that. But again, I'm not drafting him to win beauty contests. I'm drafting him to get to the quarterback. And this kid, he has consistently throughout his career at Boise State, in the upper tier percentile of pass rushers, every single year he was there. The production is undeniable. Right. So this kid here, I think he's going to be maybe not necessarily a Pro Bowl guy, but I think he's going to be a significant contributor for you. And that's all you need. That's all you need.
Right.
That's all you need. So
Anthony Manzano, hey, so I've been back here in Florida, bro, for 3 years now. My sons would know more about Keely Ringo. We talked about him in some of our conversations, though. I like him, but I never got to coach against him. So I've been back here for 3 years now. So I never coached against him, but I've seen his under the radar highlight film, and Georgia got a good one. So yeah.
So what do you guys think about the UDFA? We got Nik Needham. He played right tackle. What do you guys think about? I personally think he's going to be a depth guy. Yeah. What do you guys think about him potentially playing a right tackle and sliding Hunt into guard?
I think he'll stay at right tackle. And I think Hunt's the project, like you said. Hunt's probably going to be rejected to play that right tackle spot, and it'll be his spot to lose. And if he doesn't, he'll play behind Davis until he gets the coaching staff's confidence in him, and then from there, it's his spot to lose. Kyle Meyer will be a good depth guy, to push him because he has some good things about him in terms of his footwork and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, I think Hunt's the guy that they want in that position. So
yeah, it's shaping up that way. I agree 100%. Yeah,
it'll be his job to lose.
Wayne asked, what impact do you foresee Cole, Merritt, and Perry having on the offense? So for me, I see Perry, especially if they're going to be running that RPO with Fitzpatrick in there. I see Perry coming in there and running it. I see him. I think I've said it before. I think he's going to be kind of our Taysom Hill. I know they've listed him as a running back, but I think he's going to line up in the slot. I think he's going to, 4 or 5 receiver sets. I think you're going to see him lined up. I think you're going to see him. He's going to be our gadget guy. As far as Merritt and Cole, I really think, I said this earlier, I think Isaiah Ford is going to be out of a job. And like BallGame said, I agree with, because this is who I highlighted earlier. I think Alan Hearns is going to be watching over his shoulder, because when I look at this, guys, when I look at what Tua had at Alabama and I look at our current receiver core, okay, the three that stand out to me that are similar to what he had there are who? Matt Cole, Kirk Merritt, and Albert Wilson. Right. Albert Wilson is basically prototypical of what he had in the slot. And what you have with Matt Cole and Merritt is they can line up in the boundary in the slot, just like Chewy could, just like Devontae Smith could, just like Ruggs could, right? So if you look, EM always talks about the athletic profile. I think Malcolm Perry was taken because of his diversity and his versatility, in terms of he can line them up in the backfield, you can line them up, in the slot, wherever, right? With these guys, they fit the athletic, and you guys are going to hear me, I'm going to keep hammering it. They fit the athletic profile of what the receivers in Alabama are. When I look at, they're just bigger. Like, Kirk Merritt is just built like a brick. You know what? That's the only difference. But he's just as fast as the guys. He has just as good as hands. He can run routes, et cetera, et cetera. Like, I legitimately think these guys are steals who are going to break through, and I think they're going to be on the 53-man roster. What do you guys think?
You should. I think you take a guy like Merrick, man, whose versatility and his grit. You could take a chance on him and cut an Albert Wilson. Mm-hmm. You could take. I'll get to that in a second. I can see it, and there's a youth movement here. So, if they believe these guys can be trusted. Mm-hmm. Which I think you don't bring them in if you don't think they got something to offer. We could see Ford, Hearns, and Wilson gone. Mm-hmm. Infuse, because you got to give Tua weapons to grow with. Mm-hmm. So
I think really the only two that and I'm sure we can all agree on this. I think the two players at the wide receiver position that that we can say their position is solidified is really only Devontae Parker and Preston Williams. Everybody else is pretty much fair game, especially Albert Wilson with that $10.5 million cap charge. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I can see that. I think everything will be on the table. The competition is going to be crazy in training camp. And, I think I don't necessarily see him. The one that I see potentially, and it is more due to his contract, is Albert Wilson. I don't see them coming in beating out Alan Hearns. And not to say that Alan Hearns is a Pro Bowl wide receiver, but number one, Flores likes him a lot. Two, they extended him. They extended him last year, and he was productive in his role. I mean, very productive. Mm-hmm. I think he before Albert Wilson, got his quote unquote wheels back, he was that primary slot guy. You know what I mean? That 6'4" target that Fitzpatrick, was eating with, for good portions of the season last year. So he was productive in that role. So I like Alan Hearns, but again, you can't knock these kids' ability though. These kids are so far superior athletically than them. Could it possibly happen? Absolutely, I can see that because their upside is crazy. But again, coming and being productive in the field isn't all about athleticism. They have to get in the playbook. They have to know their assignment. People don't realize how difficult that is. You know what I mean? To learn the playbook, know your assignments at all times. Be where you're supposed to be at all times. This is a time based off the what we think the offense is going to. It's all about that timing, bro. You have to be where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there, and that's very, very difficult for players transitioning. That's the most difficult is the mental part of the game. That a player is making a transition to the pros, in my opinion.
Before we get into this diet thing here, I just want to address JF Finn Strong One. He said on TD Pod yesterday they were talking about supplemental draft. Possibly the Finns could get Devontae Smith from Alabama. First of all, you're not getting Devontae Smith in those supplemental draft.
No,
second of all, we haven't made a supplemental draft pick since Saban took Manuel Wright, the defensive tackle, in 2005. So I really don't. I think one of Flores' bread and butter is the waiver wire, and I don't think there's a need for them to even go into the supplemental draft. But Dolphin 1244, can Mr. BallGame address how they address the diet side of rookies when transitioning from college to pro?
So most programs, most D1 programs, essentially when the kids show up on campus, they're assigned and given meal vouchers, and they have access to the dining facility pretty much as much as they want. Depending on the nature of what position they play, a lot of the guys are assigned to, as a groups, nutritionists. They want to put the most clean amount of proteins into their body and build them to build muscle and make them big so they can continue to be big, strong, and fast through their eating. But their eating is clean. When you get to the NFL, most teams have an on-staff nutritionist or dietitian. They don't necessarily make most guys, or they ask guys to eat clean, right?
Mm-hmm.
Continue eating clean, because clean products and clean things in the body are going to net you production. And, it's just like putting bad gas into your car. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
If you continue to put cheap gas into your car, eventually your car gonna run like crap. So they try to get these guys to mentally keep up with what started in college. These college programs invest a lot of money into the dining facilities and the programs so that these kids can eat healthy, right? But at the same time, you have guys that choose not to involve themselves in that process. But at the same time, it's only they only hurt themselves by not doing it, because as a professional, the first thing you can do for yourself, really, with the money you're making, especially if you're a first or third round pick, is get yourself a chef.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that'll probably be one of the things that a lot of the veterans will tell some of our rookies: hey, get you somebody to fix your meals for you, to meal prep for you. You know what I mean? And have them take care of it so they know exactly what portions, portion control and things of that nature. Because, these guys big, so they spend a lot of energy on the field and practice and all that stuff. But at the same time, what they're losing, they got to be in a position to put back in clean wise. So, most of them going to get a lot of quality advice put in front of them on who they can go to get the meal prep stuff done for them. In addition to, hell, if they bringing their mamas in, what I'm saying? They attend, a lot of them, they'll send their mama to the classes to learn how to, she been cooking for her baby all these years, what I mean? But now you got to cook cleaner. You got to cook cleaner and better and healthier for your child. So,
and that's one of the worries about specifically Mekhi Becton at the next level. Because they feel like he's going to get away from that discipline, and he's going to have money. He's going to have first round money. So he's going to go out and he's going to get those big gourmet meals. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think if I remember this correct, Ian might know. Yeah, wasn't he heavier at one point? Wasn't he like 15 or 20 pounds heavier than what he is right now?
Which one?
Yeah, Becton.
Becton.
He had got up to like 368, I believe.
Yeah. So
he was on. Yeah.
Go ahead. So, hey, BallGame, what do you think about Tyshawn Render, the kid?
Hey, I like that kid. I like him because of his motor. I think the fact that when you take into consideration that, hell, even Bill Belichick skipped a portion of the combine, he skipped a couple of pro days to go see this kid at Middle Tennessee State. It's hard, man. It's not often that you see NFL coach skipping the pro days of some kids from more established programs just to go to see a kid at Middle Tennessee State. And the fact that Belichick went to go do that tells you the kid has something about him. You know what I mean? And the fact that we were able to grab him, I'm quite sure Flores probably saw some of the same things that Belichick saw about the kid, and that's why we brought him in. So I like it. I like his motor. I think he has a frame that can be built upon. I think he can be a disruptor and a definite pass rush presence for us if he sticks to the coaching. You know, I mean, that's what it all comes down to. Some of the smaller schools don't have the same level of coaching that you get out the gate from a lot of the D1 programs or the Power 5 programs. So if he can take to the coaching and be disciplined, sky's the limit for him, man. They're going to give everybody a chance, man. You'll see some guys. We're going to see some guys make this roster that we didn't think was going to make it. You know what I mean? Just based off of their grit and their ability to go out there and be versatile and do those type of things. And Render's one of those kids, man. But, yeah. So that's how I feel about Render.
Training camp is going to be crazy, bro.
All the battles on both sides. The trenches on both sides of the ball, to me, and the secondary are and even the wide receiver battle. There's so many interesting battles. I just named 4 off the top of my head. Vicken asked, is the Tua jersey out yet? No, Vicken. I literally have the money sitting there for a customized throwback. Just sitting there. I stare at it every day saying, when are you going to release your jersey so I can order this? Because this is nonsense. Every other team, the Raiders released all their new rookie numbers. Kansas City released them. Seattle's released them. Chase Young released his number. Everyone released their numbers except us.
Bro.
What you think is going on there with Tua's number, bro? Why the delay?
I know what you're hinting at. EM. So basically, I told EM earlier that someone on.
I ain't going there with him.
Someone earlier, not him, but I told him. I was just telling him earlier in conversation. I was scrolling along BallGame and I saw someone just hypothesize. They said, "What if?" And they didn't specifically say Josh Rosen, but I think isn't Matt Hack even number 2? Matt Hack is number 2, right?
Yeah.
So that's been one of the big rumored numbers is number 2, and so someone they put out the hypothetical that maybe he's waiting because I think even Jake Ruddick is number 5.
Yep.
So they said maybe the hypothetical is that he's waiting on a number to basically free up. The rumor that I keep hearing, a lot of people want to see 2, so that would have to be Matt Hack.
2 to Tua, huh?
Yeah, that's why a lot of people want to see.
I don't want 2, man. I would rather he have double digits, but
I like 10.
Look good on him.
I like the 3 because you're just not. I don't think he's gonna get 3. But I like 10. I like if he's going double digits, give me 10 or 16.
BallGame don't want to hear that. BallGame don't want to hear that. He don't want to hear that.
I'm just saying. I mean, if it was gonna happen, it would already happen. Now, I ain't heard nothing. I ain't heard nothing on my side saying nothing about him giving up his number, bro.
No, maybe 2 is gonna fetch him, give him some money.
Nah, Josh ain't gonna give up 3, bro.
Hell no.
A 2019 Miami Miracle says I like 15. Yeah, the problem is Albert Wilson is there, so you'd have to cut him.
No, that's probably gonna happen anyway.
PFF, guys, I know everyone's talking about the Marino number, but PFF set it off yesterday because they released like a card type of image. Yeah. And he was wearing 12. And everyone's like, don't you know this is Greasy's retired number? Like, you know what I mean? So, yeah, Clemente just put it. I think it's going to be, if I go double digits, I like 10 or 16. I think 10 is crisp. I like 10, but then like Jordan Love is 10, Herbert's 10.
Yeah.
NFL.com, they released an image BallGame, and it's like cartoon form of the top 4 quarterbacks in the draft. So Burrow is in his Cincinnati, number 9. Herbert's in Chargers, number 10. Love is in Packers, number 10, and Tua is in number 1.
I don't know why they just won't give him 17 and call it a day. That way we can forget. We can.
Troy Hicks's number was 13 in high school.
Give him 17 and call it a day, bro. That way we can officially wash our hands of that Ryan Tannehill era. Yeah. Give him 17 and call it a day, bro.
Yo, BallGame, did you watch that? Did you watch that footage came out after he drafted Tua? Someone clipped together. I guess Rosen went and played. I guess he went to Hawaii and he played to his team, and Tua came off the bench. Yeah. And then someone clipped together all the offensive snaps. Bro, I'll give you this.
They were doing it one day.
Rosen looked, the guy's moving and he's getting 10 yards down. It looked like a legit battle between Rosen and Tua in high school. Like that game looked like it would have been legit to watch, man. Rosen, I can see why he went to UCLA after watching some of that high school footage, because he looked, I'll say this right now, and this is no offense, he looked totally different than what I've seen at the NFL level and what I saw a bit at UCLA. He looked like legit in high school, man. Like, he had legs.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen those since he's got, like, I haven't seen those in a couple of years. He was making things happen.
I can just imagine when Miami selected Tua, what went through his mind, bro. You can just imagine the kid.
Well, you gotta feel bad for the guy, bro.
No, I don't feel bad. That's a millionaire. That's a multi-millionaire. No, I don't feel bad.
I mean, I'm not asking you to feel bad for him financially, but as a person, like, he has, even, you know, I've been one of his critics, but I'll be the first to say he has got the, you know what, end of the stick to an extent so far in his, like, I mean, what kind of luck have you have? You know, Kingsbury comes in and they want to go with Kyler Murray because they want to run air raid and they want to install RPO, and they don't think he can run the RPO. So they say, okay, bye. And then now he's in this situation where it's like, okay, we're going to groom you for a bit. And then we go and we pick Tua because, once again, Chan Gailey wants to install the RPO, and they went out and got arguably the best quarterback you're going to watch on tape running RPO. So it's just, the guy is just a casualty of circumstance so far.
Bottom line is, if he performed, if he gave him enough, if he put enough on tape, they wouldn't have got rid of him, period. I don't care. I don't want to hear that. No, it's coming. It's coming.
I don't know, man. I think he might. You know what, bro? I want him to stay on because if Fitzpatrick goes down, bro, I want to turn to Ruddick or Rosen. I don't want to turn to Tua, bro.
Yeah.
Call me whatever you want. Ride with Rosen. Either Rosen falls on his face and you get a good draft pick, or he plays well and he ups his stock and he makes a legitimate battle in the back there.
Right. That's the only reason why I would entertain him being on, potentially remaining on the roster, is because of what we potentially could get for him. Again, we talked about this before. If Rosen, you know, puts on a Kurt Warner-like performance and leads us to the playoffs and he becomes that guy, okay, I was wrong. You know what I mean? I owe him an apology. I'll be gladly to apologize to him live. But no, that's highly unlikely. I don't see that happening. But
I just want whoever's back there, I don't care what your name is. I don't care what color your skin is. I just want elite play. I'm sick of mediocre at best play. That's all I want. I don't care who it is, man. Just get it done. That's all I'm saying.
I agree.
I'm with you.
I agree 100%.
We're all, listen, whether we all agreed or disagreed on certain aspects of kids and things of that nature, and who we felt they should take and stuff like that. At the end of the day, we all just want each area of the team to be improved.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I think we were all, you know, like, I know. Yeah, I'm a homer, I guess, to some degree, because Josh, I know the kid. You know what I mean? I watched him from little league all the way up until now. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it was always one of those things where I felt like he just really got the crappy end of the stick. You know, even with UCLA with all of the different coordinators and things of that nature. But it's a business too. So, and we've been mediocre far long enough, in my opinion. So, whoever wins the job, whoever the guy is for the job, then I support 100%. And it just is what it is, you know?
Agreed. Raphael asked when we're going to be doing our first 2021 mock draft. Maybe before the season starts, but if we do, I'm only going to do like 3 rounds. I'm not going to 7 rounds deep.
Oh, God, not another mock draft, bro. Really? Come on, man.
All right,
I don't even think about a mock draft till this time next year, bro.
Yeah, I'm not even remotely even.
I'll do it for the people. You got either one of you guys got any last thoughts before we get out of here?
No, man, just
solid, bro. I appreciate y'all having me.
Oh yeah, appreciate you, homie.
Pleasure, man.
You always welcome, BallGame.
That's what's up.
You always welcome. You already know that. So but yeah, I'm just, you know, looking forward to just waiting on to see how they're gonna approach. You know, well, I can't speak for the entire country, but I know today, Texas, you know, kind of gradually opened up, you know, the cities and the state pretty much, and you know, they're trying to get back to some sense of normalcy. So So it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. So I'm just paying attention to see how the NFL, what the NFL's approach is going to be. So hopefully, moving forward, we can put this behind us. This whole, what's going on in the world, we can pretty much put the worst part of it behind us, and we can move forward, man, and get back to
I think that's unfortunately, it's not. I don't think the worst is behind us.
Yeah.
Because this thing thrives in cold, right? It doesn't do so well in the heat. So I think we're going to see another flash later down in the year until they figure out an actual full-fledged vaccine for it, which we don't have right now. It might show back up again in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
With people being asymptomatic and all this other stuff, man, it's I saw this type of thing going happening in Serbia. You know what I mean? And it just every time they thought they had a handle on it, the weather changed, flared back up because people got sick, immune systems go down, and then it flared back up again. So it just didn't the Spanish flu, didn't that have a second round because they started opening up everything too soon? Yep, Spanish flu. The second round was worse than the first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got to be careful with that for sure. I'm hoping that Gates will go ahead and somebody got the vaccine, man. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, I think there's one coming in June or July, right?
Yeah, there's one supposed to be coming in June, bro.
June, yeah.
I saw the Huffington Post report earlier that the FDA approved it. So hopefully that's a positive, man.
Man. Go ahead.
No, but I'm open to them playing football even without people in the stands. I don't give a damn about them fans in the stand. I just want to see football, baby.
The game play.
So yeah.
Yeah. BallGame, I want to thank you so much for coming on here and not only telling, kind of enlightening the people on your history, but also enlightening people on what you've seen since you've dove into the film, since we've made these selections and where you see the secondary, man. I appreciate it a lot. You always drop gems, man.
Absolutely.
Like I said, man, when we talk about people who know the ins and outs of the game and the game inside the game and the nuances of the game, we're speaking about people like BallGame, man. There's no denying this man knows what he's talking about. So we hope you all learned something and took something away from this. And I know some people in the comments are saying y'all are getting us excited when we started talking about the secondary blending with the front seven. And guys, be excited because for the first time in a long time, when you guys were all calling in on the weekend, we kept hearing the same word. And what was that word? That word was hope. Because for the first time in a long time, guys, we got hope. And we got legitimate contender hope in a couple years. So it's going to be awesome, guys. But I want to thank you all for coming out. I think we got one donation here. I'll go over from PayPal. And by the way, guys, you see the image up on the screen right now. I want you guys to say 3 Hail Marys and to your Lord and Savior tonight when you get on your hands and knees before you go to bed. I
just don't want him to rush him, man.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And you already see the media starting to spin it of, this is why we should see him right away.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got $26.82 from Dwayne Wood. So I want to say thanks a lot. Appreciate that, Dwayne.
That's greatly appreciated, homie.
Yes, sir. So guys, basically what's happening next week, next Wednesday, we are going to have we're going to go over the offensive line. And we're going to go over the draft selections and the projections for next year. And we're actually going to have on a scout from Blue Chip Scouting. We're going to have on Matt Valdovinos from Blue Chip Scouting. He was an offensive lineman in college, so he's going to come on the show. We're going to go over, guys, we're going to do this for the running back, the wide receivers, and then we're probably going to combine the defensive tackle and the linebackers as well. But we're going to go for every position like this. So we appreciate BallGame coming on here and giving you guys some info on the secondary.
Real quick, BallGame. I'm gonna do an Ed show because I was supposed to do it months ago, but we never got to it because of the draft stuff.
Okay.
So I'm gonna do an Ed show about the free agent additions. Anba, Shaq Lawson, and Kyle Van Noy.
Okay.
And I'm gonna try to explain how they will be potentially integrated into our defense. So if you got time, bro, we just have to figure out whenever it is, and we can work around your schedule. But I want you, I definitely want you in on that, and because I think your insight.
Okay.
I think your insight will be beneficial as well.
Bro. Yeah, we'll try to get that done either next week or the latest the week after ball game if you're available.
Yeah, just let me know, bro. I always make myself available for y'all, man.
Awesome, because that's just meant to be. That's a show we just pushed back because of all the draft big boards and stuff. So it's going to work out even better if we have you on, man. But we appreciate you coming on. So
for sure, bro. Hey, much love, man, and much respect to you guys, man. Y'all know we brothers in this thing, man, and I love y'all to death, bro. So
for sure,
stay safe, man, and till the next time we together.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Out, brother.
All right now. All right.
And be on the lookout for BallGame's channel, guys. T3 Fins Academy. It's going to be coming soon. He's expected to be within the next month and a half. So be out on the lookout for that. You're going to want to tune in. It's going to be him and his sons. So it's going to be something y'all are going to want to tune into for sure. EM, any last thoughts for the people before we get out of here?
Y'all already know, fins up all day, every day. Y'all already know what time it is.
Yes, sir. All right, brother. All right, guys. I want to thank y'all again. Dwayne Wood, thank you for the donation. Appreciate you guys coming out again. We peaked at like a 154 in this room at one time. So, man, we appreciate you guys consistently showing this love. We do it for you guys. And we just, we can't thank you guys enough. So Havoc One just donated $5, and he just says keep killing it, guys. So we appreciate you, Havoc One. We appreciate every single one of you, man. George, Rhino, Havoc, Pyro, Douglas Anderson, Nico, Swisher Medical Suites, love the name, Jeff Fremont, Jazza. I know Phinside was in here earlier, Barry Van Slyke, all of you guys. We love all of y'all. I know Sharif is probably going to watch this eventually, but we love all of y'all, man. All we got to say is fins up, and we hope that y'all have a good night, Fins Nation. We're out of here.